Cameron? Cameron? Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah. That's cool. It is different. One of the interesting things is my voice to me sounds different than it was.
Yeah. With the different adjusted settings on the hearing aids?
I think no matter how it gets adjusted, it sounds different.
Does it sound like you?
It rarely sounds like me, so.
I wonder who's in there.
That's actually what I'm going to talk about tonight.
Oh.
Who's in here? This is the final in a series of what was 2 Tuesdays a month. Two Tuesdays a month, and it's been a little while. I don't know for how long. And during that time, we built up a tremendous audience. Oh gosh, it's great. I so value your presence because I always know that exactly the people who are supposed to be here are here. And one of the questions that you might entertain somewhere in your consciousness is to discover how come you're here? Oh, I was here for that. That hasn't happened yet, but I'm not going to repeat what I said already, Tim, so you'll have to check with somebody afterwards because I basically said the whole thing.
You can watch the recording.
So I entertained the notion, since this is the last Tuesday evening, if all I had was the opportunity to do one teaching, what would I do? What would I want to share? You know, what needs sharing? This weekend, one of the programs I did, I focused on the story in the Garden of Eden. You know that story? It's the second of 3 separate stories of creation that are contained in the first several chapters of the book of Genesis. The first story is actually the newest. The editors, when they bring a new story, they always put theirs at the beginning. And then the next oldest is next, and the oldest one is going to be the third. And the third is very short. And they're separated by centuries. The second story is the one that gets a lot of attention, because that's the story of the story of Adam and Eve. And I'm not going to tell the whole story. You can find it right there in the Bible. But I am going to say something about the conclusion of the story. You know how the serpent, we don't know what the serpent looked like, but the serpent approaches the woman. This is before the woman has a name. This is actually prior to even Adam having a name. The Hebrew says ha'adam, but it actually means the human. It's not yet a separate name. The name Adam in Hebrew is made up of an aleph, which is a silent letter. The first letter of the Hebrew alphabet is silent. It symbolizes spirit. It symbolizes that which is beyond sound, that which is beyond any kind of containment, that which is absolutely universal. And the next two letters are Dam, and Dam is blood. So the name Adam is a signifier of a being who combines absolute consciousness and flesh and blood. So the serpent approaches the woman and shows her the fruit. And she knows that she was not supposed to, she says, we're not supposed to touch it and we're not supposed to eat it because if we eat it, we die. And the serpent says, you're not going to die. The serpent actually is telling the truth. She's going to eat it and she's not going to drop dead. She sees that the fruit is beautiful. She sees that the fruit is good to allow her to be wise, to know up and down, here and there, the world of contrast. So she takes the fruit. And it's so cute because it simply says she gave to the man with her and he ate. There's no conversation. It is so like a man. The woman makes the choice, makes the decision, because only a woman could make this decision. And I'll say something about that. The woman gives the man, and okay. What does it do? No question. The myth has God walking in the garden, and the man and the woman, they hide, which is kind of silly. God says, where are you? Well, this is myth. God says, have you eaten of that tree? No, because, yeah. Well, they say we were naked and we hid. So there are consequences of eating, and the major consequence is they're going to have to leave the garden. And they're going to have to be here, right here. Now, the woman is seen as the evil person. I mean, this is normally the way a patriarchal system interprets the story. And it's really sad, because the actual language says nothing of the kind. It's never called a sin. It has consequences, and that's true. What do they do when they find out, after they've eaten? The text says they tried to make themselves coverings with fig leaves. Figs are the only tree, by the way, that's mentioned in the story. Whenever I ask people, what fruit do you think they ate? Everybody says,
Apple.
Yeah. Unfortunately, apples don't grow in that part of the world. And the only tree that was mentioned was a fig tree. So since the story is a deeply sexual story, how many of you have bitten into a ripe, juicy fig? Yeah. Anyway, They try to make themselves some kind of clothing, right, with fig leaves. What people think was they covered their genitals because they're embarrassed. They're not embarrassed. They're not covering their genitals. God, the figure in the myth, clothes them. And the text says God gives them skins. And everybody goes, where did God get these skins? I mean, did he kill some animals and give them? Does anybody know the skin that God gave human beings who chose to be human? Well, each of you are wearing it. It's this. It's a story of incarnation. It's a choice to incarnate. You see, look, it's not a punishment, because sometimes incarnation, sometimes living this life is so challenging and so chaotic that we don't see it as a blessing. We kind of see it as a curse. However, it's a choice. The woman literally chose it. And of course, on a mythic level, we're all that being. Each and every one of us chose to incarnate. Obviously, we wouldn't be here. And we chose to incarnate in this time, in this space, and we, just like we chose to be here tonight, we chose it. Nobody forced us. We made a choice. They are leaving the garden, and the text says the man turns to his woman, and the translation is, and he says, your name is Eve, because you're the mother of all the living. Unfortunately, in Hebrew, the original, there's no Eve. Her name is Chava, and Chava means life. The man turned to this woman and he said, your name is life, because you are the mother of all the living. This is not a punishment. This is not a sin. This is a choice to move into this incarnation. And it is one that each and every one of us obviously made. We look at our lives and we look at our world and we think this must be a terrible mistake we made. Or we look at our lives and we look at the world and we might think somebody did this to us. Oh, it might be our parents, it might be our world, it might be our whatever. But when we allow the possibility that we made the choice to incarnate at the particular time and in the particular place and to the particular parents and in the particular family that we did, because it allowed us to evolve our soul, obviously. And sometimes that's a challenging thing to do. And it is the grandest privilege that any human being can have. Because as we grow our soul, we are able to remember who we are. We confuse the nature of our being with our ego identities. We confuse our identity with our roles or with our personal history with our likes, with our dislikes, with our challenges, with how successful we've been or how unsuccessful we've been or how whatever. All of us do it. And the growth of the soul depends on remembering that that's not who we are. That's like a series of masks, that's like a series of parts that we play, that's like a series of learnings that we've incorporated from our culture, from cultural expectations, from family expectations. You know, we look at little kids and we label them. You're the smart one, you're the stupid one, you're the funny one, you're the fast one, you're the slow one. And those labels start to be solidified as identities. We have teachers who communicate support for various identities, and you could see it. I mean, if you look at your experience in this life, you know it. And if you go, this is who I'm pretending to be right now. I'm pretending to be an 83-year-old man who is actually getting shorter by the moment and who's having the time of his life. And yeah.
Back with you. Are you suggesting that I, or my soul, chose to be incarnated with the mother and father and the situation I ended up in?
What would that mean?
I wouldn't wish that choice on anyone.
Ah. So why would a soul want that?
I can't answer.
Really? Well, one reason is that the soul took that one because it didn't want to leave it for some other soul. One reason a soul took that one is to allow it to emerge whole. Because the soul's journey is always a journey of remembering. That's not to deny anything of the past. That's to love the one who went through that past. It can be very challenging because on an ego level, we feel ourselves to be fragile and vulnerable. And on a soul level, we're actually not. If you're sitting in this room right now, I can guarantee you one thing for sure. This is not your first rodeo. This is not your first time around the sun. The spiritual process is not a process of getting somewhere. It's not actually a process of learning something that you don't know. The spiritual journey, the spiritual awakening, is a journey of remembering. Because the awakening, the realization, And it's not a belief, it's a realization, it's a knowing, it's bigger than belief. The one we are actually, the one you are, the one each of us is, behind all the ego stuff, behind all the cultural and earth experiences that we have gone through. Is total love. It's kind of obvious because what is consciousness? You know, universal consciousness or universal awareness is absolute love because it allows everything. It doesn't go to one perception or to one experience or to one thought or to one word and let some in and some out. It welcomes everything. What is it? What is love? What is universal love? Universal love is absolute acceptance of the moment, which is the way of remembering, because it short circuits all the machinations of the mind that imagines that we're not already whole, that we're not already one, that we're not already complete. The one we are, absolute consciousness, absolute awareness, unlimited, unbounded awareness, is not actually impacted by conditions. The ego is impacted by conditions. To meet the absolute fullness of the one we are allows us to experience the moment as absolutely whole and perfect now. Because that's what awareness does. That's what consciousness does. It goes, yes. We talk about how the answer is love. Why is the answer love? The answer is love because that is the very nature of our being. So, I've talked for enough time to talk in an unbroken string. So I'd like to invite you into a chant and then into a little silence. You can do in the silence whatever you want to do. You might be aware that the mind is having conversations with you. And you might, in noticing that, allow that to be and not pay so much attention to it. Because usually we forget that we have a mind and we experience the world as if the mind has us. We have a mind, we have a body, we have a history, we have. And behind all that, we are the one we are. People keep thinking that if we want to fix things in our world, We've got to get the bad guys out of power and put the good guys in power. Those of us who have some years behind us have seen different people come to power, and sometimes the people who come to power are people we want to have come to power, but you know, it didn't fix everything. Sometimes the people who come to power are people we don't want to have in power, and we get very troubled about it, and everything starts falling apart. In any case, to have the right people, the people we think should be in power, it's not going to fix everything. Because every up has a down, every coin has a head and a tails. It's the nature of this reality. And if we think that we could have a reality that's only heads, some people think that the goal of spirituality is to have lives that are always happy. Can't be done, because conditions are always contrast. You can't have easy without hard. You can't have simple without complicated. You can't have up without down. But we can allow ourselves to be aware of the conditions without allowing the conditions to define us. We are not conditional beings. Each and every one of us is an absolutely beautiful being, an absolutely perfect being. And it gets to a point where there is the realization that the only way, and you know, don't trust anybody who says the only way, that the only way to achieve a peaceful world is for peaceful beings, for people, for those who know the peace of their soul, the peace of their being, the peace of the one they are, to walk that consciousness fully into the world. You want to know if you're an ego? If you're an ego, you want something you don't have, or you don't have, or you have something you don't want. Ego is either trying for something or trying to get out of something, wants more or less. And it's always going to do that. So if we think we could adjust the ego so it always has what it wants, it can't. It's not because the ego's bad. It's just, it can't do that. It's like asking to have an up without a down, an on without an off. So. So in my tradition, the sound of peace is shalom. Shalom is pretty much the most well-known Hebrew word, except for amen, and maybe hallelujah. But the peace that shalom speaks about is bigger than external condition of peace. The word shalom, all Hebrew nouns are made from verbs. Hebrew, like Arabic and Aramaic, is a verbal language. That means the essential form in the language are verbs, and a noun is made from a verb standing still. English, like all Latinated languages and Greek, is a nominal language. The basic element of language is a noun, and a verb is a noun moving. It's weird to think about, but the form of a language actually expresses the form of consciousness. And it's a different way. Shalom, the verbal form, shalem, means wholeness and completeness. So shalom is peace in the sense of absolute wholeness, absolute completeness. It's not lacking anything. It's total. It's beyond condition. It will know peace. It will know that peace no matter what the conditions are, because everything's held in peace. So the sounds themselves are vibrations of that wholeness and of that completeness. The first syllable is Shah, and the second syllable is Lom. So you have the Ah, which is a heart sound. You know that. Ah. Ah. And the O, the Lom, is a grounding. And you can feel that, the Lom. So what I'd like to do is first practice with the Shah, just the Shah. So we'll take a breath, and then on a whole breath, the sound Shah. Okay? And I'm counting on you to not leave me out here doing it myself. And then in a little while, we'll do the Lom. Okay? So please take a breath. And again. And once more. It's an opening. The next syllable is Lom. It's a completion. So please take a breath for the Lom. And again. And once more. And now I'm going to invite you to join me in putting the two syllables together. We'll do our best to break this, half of the breath is on Sha and the next half of the breath is on Lom. And after the chant, as we enter into a few moments of silence, you might feel the vibration of that shalom through every cell and every level of your being. Behind any thoughts, behind any sensations, behind any feelings, behind any judgments. Everything simply held in the vibration of shalom. So please take a breath. Once more. And take a gentle breath, and when you're ready, allow the eyes to open if they're closed, and simply be here. When I said simply be here, the truth is, it's the hardest thing to do. It's not so simple to simply be here. Because if we pay attention to what's going on in us, most of the time we're not here. Most of the time we're thinking about something in the past. Most of the time we're thinking about something that hasn't happened yet. Most of the time here is this tiny fragment of time between an ever-expanding past and an ever-expanding future. Simply be here. Changes everything. Because it's very hard for the mind to grasp that here is always perfect. When we're not identified with conditions, we're not identified with the ups and downs. We deal with them. Actually, when we're not identified, when we're allowing ourselves to be present in the moment, we are so better equipped to deal with what needs to be handled, what needs to be responded, what needs to be cared for, than we can possibly be when we're not actually here. We're worrying about the past, we're worrying about the future. So how is that experience of the chant, and how is that experience of the silence? That's like an invitation for you to talk.
Very peaceful.
Okay?
I can definitely tell the different tones in different parts of my body.
Interesting.
You know, very much, like you said, it's the heart for
Mhm.
the ah, and then a grounding for the ah.
It's interesting.
The silence after the shalom was exquisite.
Hmm.
I felt like my brain literally stopped.
Hmm.
It was very sweet,
It's neat.
expansive.
Yeah, Art?
I was at peace for a while it was happening, but then I went back to something you said earlier that I wanted to say something about,
Great.
that I don't understand. And when you said we just need to remember, my mind goes to what is it that I remember that maybe I never knew?
You can't know it. You can, this is the paradox. You can remember it, but you can't know it. You see, the fullness of, whether we call it awareness, whether we call it God, whether we call it consciousness, whatever we call it, peace, whatever we call it, the mind cannot contain it because it contains the mind. You know, we have a tendency to use language in a very peculiar way. And you'll excuse me if I use some of the unity language, where we talk about the Christ presence is within us. Well, that makes us bigger than the Christ presence. I mean, and that's just not how it is. A Christ presence is another way of referring to God, to consciousness, to awareness. We are in the Christ presence, not the other way around. But we can't get there through the mind because the mind's not big enough. We can't get to it through language because language is made to separate things. You get a taste of it with the wisdom from in the Jewish tradition, or the ancient tradition, sometime in the day of the Second Temple. So we're around the 9th, 10th century before the Common Era, when they decided we can't pronounce the name of God, the four-letter name, the Tetragrammaton, because anything we name, names draw a circle around things. And everything that goes with that name is inside that is what happens if what you're naming has no boundary. You can't, so the mind tries to do our spirituality for us. And it can't. It's sweet. But it can't. And I don't mean if we just learned something we could do it. No, because that's not the. So, remembering is like realizing.
Yeah, and I can really relate to that word.
Great.
Realization.
Great.
I cannot relate to remember stuff because it puts me in the past. Remember something that happened.
Okay.
Which takes me into an ego trip.
Great.
That I don't want to be in.
I appreciate that. I mean it in the sense of remembering who you are, in the moment. And I thank you for that. And I will make sure I add more words.
I'm not blaming you.
No. Listen. This is critical art.
I've been told this a lot, and I've never really
Great.
understood that.
Thank you.
Never.
Great. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So, Rabbi Ted, I have a question that came up this week for me. If we are all a part of it, and there's no separation, how then do we pray?
Can you
Can I say more about that?
okay, tell me. I don't know, everybody has a different meaning when you say pray. So tell me what you mean when you say pray.
Okay. So in unity, we have a structured prayer
Yep,
that we pray.
yep,
And lately that's been feeling to me like it's outside of me, and I'm not part of that.
yep.
And so I very much resonate with remembering and being present.
So look, what you're seeing is, I believe, is accurate. It's like that in Jewish tradition. In Jewish tradition, the basic form of prayer, blessed are you, Holy One of Being. Where? And that's just so embedded in the language that it's hard to get beyond it. God is beyond religion. By its very nature, religion defines itself in a limited way. It's this religion as opposed to that religion, as opposed to that religion. There's only one. When we say there's only one God, that's because there's only one. And religion is a problem. So unity, from my standpoint, is often closer to that one than many traditions. And we need to be careful. Things evolve. God bless the founders of unity, but we're not there anymore. We're here. And
So can I give you an example? Like
yeah,
if praying for a healing feels like I'm praying for something that doesn't make me whole.
great. So, one of the teachers that I find really helpful in that is Joel Goldsmith. You know Joel? And it took me a long time to understand what the hell he's talking about. When he was a healer, when somebody came for healing, he taught people you don't deal with a condition. You don't even deal in a way with the person who came to you. You deal with yourself, and you open to the absolute perfection of the moment. Now, what I would add language-wise, the vibration that you open to, it communicates beyond what words can communicate. You know when you walk into a potato, a piano factory, and it works in a potato factory too. When you walk into a warehouse with a lot of pianos, and you strike a chord on one piano, those strings vibrate in every piano in that warehouse. We communicate because, see, we've all got it. Nobody doesn't have it. By definition, we're all that. Some of us hide it, some of us have forgotten it, some of us don't believe it, whatever it is. What Joel was talking about, and I agree, is we don't heal conditions. We don't fix conditions. Because conditions, once you get into the realm of conditions, you really can't get healed, because that condition will get healed and then there'll be another condition that'll be a problem. That's what it's like in the world of conditions. So yes, we can do what we can to alleviate the pain or alleviate symptoms. However, the deeper healing has to come from on a vibrational level where your presence. It was Jesus' teaching. When Jesus came to somebody, he didn't do anything. He was that vibration. So he didn't say any magic words. He didn't say any blessing. He didn't, And then people just think, what people have done with Jesus is criminal. They think the criminality was killing him. Christianity killed Jesus. Every day. You better erase that from the tape. I'm not.
That was helpful, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Reiki? What would you say?
They're all vibration. Any kind of healing, all kinds of healing. It's about vibration.
Yeah.
Raising your levels. To realize what health is, what we are, wholeness.
It seems to, I don't know, I'm not a Reiki practitioner. I did go through the first, initiation, yeah. But I don't do that. Linda does that. But it seems to me that the Reiki practitioner has a responsibility of opening to that and not doing anything, not fixing anything. It's a paradox, because the mind is always trying to fix things. Yeah.
Two things. When I was in that state, I felt like I might have been on the edge of sleep. And so if you heard me snore, then I was tense asleep. So that's one thing. And it was something, and you've talked about how we are not our bodies. I don't understand that, and I'm trying to kind of make sense of that, or that our bodies are not part of us, or we are not part of
Okay.
the body. Or-
So I could say some things about language, because you have a body.
Right.
Yeah. You have a car.
A car.
You have a car, don't you?
Right.
Yeah. So you wouldn't say that you are the car. You have a car.
Right.
Yeah. So what if anything you have is not what you are? What you are is not something you have. It's something you are. It's of a different category. So in what you notice about your body, for example, as you age, it changes.
Sure.
Right. So you look in a mirror and you might be aware that, what I see in the mirror is not what I used to see in the mirror when I looked in the mirror 10 years ago. Right? But the one who is seeing that image in the mirror is the same one that has been seeing that image in the mirror, even though the image has changed. All our lives, the same awareness is aware. And that is what has a body, but is not your body. That has a mind, but it's not your mind. That has feelings, but it's not your feelings. That in no way discounts your body or your feelings or your mind. It just is a realization that that's not the who that you are. When you're asleep, right? Are you there?
Oh, is that a geographical question? Or I trust that awareness is connected to the body.
To the what? Body.
Yeah, the two are connected. This is my belief, and so that awareness is connected to the body. There's a connection there, or that the awareness is always with the body, and the body is always with the awareness.
I know you could find your body. If I were if I were to say to you, can you find your body? Can you show me your body? Yes, here is your body. Can you show me your awareness? If your awareness is the body, you would then say, yeah, here's my body. No, that's your body. Where's the awareness?
So, my awareness is that which is hearing you and speaking back to you.
Actually, okay. Your brain, your mind is translating sounds into patterns that you understand as words,
Right.
and you're thinking, so your mind grabs hold of that.
Right. And I've been processing it in the idea that I'm not my thoughts, and I'm not my feelings, but I am that which produces the thoughts and produces the feelings.
I doubt it. If you think about it, how many of your thoughts do you produce? Do you ever realize that if you just pay attention to your thoughts, you didn't choose them. They just happen. It's like words. do you think of the word you're going to say before you say it? I don't know what the word is going to say until it's out. I mean, I guess that's part of presencing, but I don't write my words and then read them. I don't know what my words are going to be. Personally, I find that not only boring to do, but boring to listen to. But that's probably not fair, but that's my experience. Sometimes I wish I could. I have. Don't we all? Sometimes I say things and I hear them and I go, whoa.
Killing Jesus or something like that.
Well, I actually believe that. I would say that. I think religion has religion has a tendency to kill the greatest teachers of humankind. It wants to own them, and you can't own that. You can know it.
I was just going to say.
My daughter went to a Christian high school, King's, and I do know that they would not let Jesus in. He didn't have, he didn't dress well. He didn't hang out with, he would be not appreciated there, and they would find a way for him not to be admitted to that Christian church. So I think that's an example of what you're talking about.
It is amusing to look at the pictures of Jesus as a Aryan humanoid. That is not what he looked like. He was a Sephardic Jew. The Jewish typologies are either European or Sephardic. European are the Ashkenazi Jews, and they're in European countries, Russia, Ukraine. Sephardic Jews are, Sepharad is how you say Spain in Hebrew. Sephardic are Spain, France, Morocco, Egypt, that whole area, Syria. And it's a different type. The skin is not this light. It's a darker skin. It's usually kinky black hair. People would not recognize Jesus. If Jesus came, first of all, he never heard the word Jesus, because Hebrew and Aramaic don't have a sound J. It was a Y. He was Yeshu. So if you run into him, call him Yeshu. Yeah, because I'm stopping there. And Jesus is universal. And this actually, unity has the Christ presence. You are the Christ presence. You don't have it. You are the Christ presence. Everyone is the Christ presence. In my tradition, we wouldn't use that term because I would get accused of being a Christian. But it's the same consciousness. There's only one consciousness. And we don't have a piece of it. You don't have your piece of consciousness, your piece of everybody has the whole thing. There's only one consciousness. And if we can remember that, we wind up treating each other very differently. We wind up treating ourselves very differently. But we don't buy into the so convincing ego story of the good guys and the bad guys. That's not to say that there aren't people who are doing irreparable harm to the planet, to other people. I don't mean to deny that. But that's not who they are. They're just so caught. Evil is somebody who is totally locked into a separate ego identity. Evil comes from a total belief in separateness.
I often think of Maslow's, hierarchy. And the structure gives a lot of security.
Oh,
If
absolutely.
I know who I am and where I belong, I'm good.
Well, I would actually say that's still true, but the I am is not a member of this tribe. The I am is the absolute gift of human consciousness, of consciousness that flows through this form. The consciousness that flows through each and every one of us didn't get born, and it's not going to die. I mean, obviously, if you just look at, it's always here. Will this particular body, well, not only will this body not last forever, but I'm grateful it won't last forever. The TED trip has been very interesting. TED trip. I've been on a TED trip. And Ted is having a wonderful time these days. However, the TED trip is bigger. The TED trip is interested in something beyond TED. The TED trip appreciates that TED is a vehicle for that which is universal. And that universal is actually the true identity that has this body, that has this mask, that has this act. But the act is not actually who I am.
Yeah, I get this question. It's just a question. I'm trying to process it as that Ted's body is a vehicle for Ted's consciousness, which is a vehicle for Ted's message.
In Ted's pursuit of either remembering or awakening to realizing who he actually is, who actually is in here using this body, Ted delights in striving to share that awareness in ever clearer and more helpful ways. So he does it, he does it sometimes through humor, he does it sometimes through silence, through chanting, but he does it, well, you've been watching him do it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes some things work better, sometimes not so good. When Ted is doing it well, he doesn't take himself so seriously. So that some people can like it and some people won't. And he's got to be okay with that. And sometimes he's not. But it's not helpful. But I get to see absolute beauty. You guys are beautiful. You guys, your name is Jeff? That's me. You are the best Jeff you've ever been. Really? You're a great Jeff.
Ted, I like when you say you're proud of us after we eat in our meditation. That's such a sweet thing because we all work or align to be. And it's such a nice feeling. And then when you say that you're proud of us because it is hard to do, it feels expansive.
I don't remember saying I was proud of you. Did I say that?
I remember it.
Okay. Well, I am proud of you.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hear things that I said that I don't remember saying, but that's good. Yeah. Anyway, we've got to stop. I just am grateful for each and every one of you sharing this evening with me. It's perfect. It's perfect. The one thing that we know and that actually can symbolize that which we share, there's one thing that has stayed the same for our entire lives, for all of us. Not only for all of us, but it stayed the same for every human being who ever was, ever is, and ever will be. It never changes. And that's silence. There's only one silence. And that becomes a reflection of the one being that is absolutely shared. There's no Jewish silence, there's no Christian silence, there's no Buddhist silence, there's no Muslim silence, it's just a silence. There's no Jewish God, there's no Christian God, there's no Muslim God, there's just God. And it's us. We're the first animals. Everything that exists has consciousness. We appear to be either the first or among the first animals to be self-aware. Awareness, a tree is aware. A tree responds to other trees. I mean, we know stuff that we didn't used to know. A tree in the forest gets a disease. The trees in the neighboring send chemicals to help that tree heal. This can be measured. We do plants. They've got a way of wiring plants now, so that you talk to plants nice, the plant is happy. You talk meanly to plants, they don't like it, they're not going to grow. This is measurable. Say what? Oh, absolutely. Yes. Everything responds to, everything is vibration, and everything responds to vibration. Sure. So thank you. And it's been a great evening. And thank you, Cameron.